We have your Saturday Apple news. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. So on Fridays and Saturdays, you know the drill. I go ahead and I have a beer here. I talk about it for about 30 seconds, and then I go through about 20 or 30 different Apple news stories. Let's get into it. So what do we have here today? I have Goose Island Full Pocket Pilsner, and I'll show you a close-up of the can. It says Full Pocket Pilsner on one side. On the other side, it's got this weird cat with a football helmet on it. I'm not sure what that's all about. Anyways, you guys can see the can here. I'm from Chicago, so these are so far Chicago ales. This is from Chicago, Illinois. And over here, let me just see, Beer Advocate gives it an 87 over here. It just said it's when you're craving a clean, crisp pills. That's exactly what this is. In a sea of milkshake IPAs, you want to go for this. It classifies it as a German Pilsner, and what does it say here? 5.2% alcohol. Anyways, let's get into the Apple news. This is my showcase of the week for the beer on the weekend. Whether you're drinking coffee or whatever you like, espresso, maybe some wine or whatever, enjoy the news with me. Let's get into it. All right, for story number one, it's not really a story, but I get asked this all the time. People ask me this all the time. I do tons of reviews of different SSD drives, external drives for your Mac. People always ask me, what is the one you use the most of? Believe it or not, I use this Quizilab or whatever you call it. It's right here. I'll show you some close-ups on Amazon too. I use this device all the time. I don't know if you can see it down here. The reason for it is it's only up to about 800 or 900 megabytes per second, USB-C, but it's this tiny little drive here, and I built it myself. Here on Amazon, you can see you can pick up the actual external case for 29 bucks here on Amazon. So that's the first thing. It gets really good reviews. Very kind of, rugged. You can step on it. It's not going to break or anything like that. And then also I kind of incorporated with this drive right here, the Silicon Power 1 terabyte drive. So for around 100 bucks, this is 76 bucks. What's the other thing is what, 29 bucks? A little over 100 bucks though. You get 1 terabyte, but look how small this thing is. I carry this everywhere to coffee shops. I put it in my pocket. I just love the size of this. I even use it back and forth here. So out of all the ones I use, I have tons of Thunderbolt 4 ones. I have, maybe 50 or 60 of them now. This is the one I use the most, and I just figured I'd put it on the video. All right, so the first real story is right here. It says M4 iPad Pro. Will Apple put a brand new chip in its next iPad? Evidence suggests so. So this is the key here. You know Mark Gurman, I talk about him all the time. It says Bloomberg's Mark Gurman broke on the internet Sunday claiming that the next generation iPad Pro expected to be announced by Apple next week will have a brand new M4 chip in it. We're going to see if this guy's right finally. Finally this is a good test to see if he's right or not. I'm not saying it. This is just a rumor off of 9 to 5 Mac here. It says, I'm hearing that there's a good strong possibility that the chip will be in the brand new iPad Pro. It will be the M4. So let's take a step back. We're going to see if this is true. If it is, though, I think it's obviously for just AI reasons, and they're going to be pushing this really quickly, the whole AI craze. They want to be maybe the first to market with it, to have something that's really targeted here. You tell me if you think this is going to happen, but post quickly, because when you watch this a week from now, we'll already have that news. All right, and maybe one of the reasons, obviously, if you're looking at these new iPads coming out, obviously we haven't had a lot for a long time. Look over here. This is a sale right now on Amazon. It's 349 bucks. Apple 10th generation. It's about, 22% off right now. $349 for with the 10th generation, just the Apple iPad, the A14 Bionic chip as well, 10.9 inch. So just long story short, right now is a good time to buy these older ones because they're all on sale just because the new ones are coming out now. So if you don't really care, this one's super fast. It's going to be fast enough for most people. So if you don't really care about the new ones coming out, now's the time to buy this. Check it out on Amazon. Here's another story. It's just kind of a funny one. It's kind of about Apple. It says GM's CarPlay replacement doesn't work well, and it has a long road ahead of it. So I just want to put like a kind of again, post in the comments. Would you buy a GM car if it doesn't have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, I guess? They actually went their own route, it looks like, and they kind of developed their first kind of iteration of it with the Chevy Blazer. They had to kind of pull it back because it wasn't working really well. But they're saying that they've done studies and like 75% of people want CarPlay in their car when they buy a brand new car. And GM, of all people, are going to go against that grain, and they're going to say, nope, we don't want Apple in here. We're going to do it ourselves. They failed kind of already. And I'm just curious, would you buy a car without Apple AirPlay? Tell me in the comments. All right, we got another really good sale here. Take a look. This is the Apple Studio Display on Amazon. Standard glass, of course. Tilt adjustable stand, so you just get, basically, you don't get up and down and stuff. But $12.99 right now, 19% off. It's usually $15.99. So this is the lowest price I've seen it. I've seen it at $13.49 on Amazon and some other places. I've never seen it for $12.99, actually brand new before. So if you're thinking about finally pulling the trigger on the Studio Display, this might be a good opportunity for you right now. $12.99 is the best price I've seen, so maybe that's telling us something. Maybe Apple will be coming out with a new monitor soon. You never know. All right, this next one here, this is by Mac Rumors. It says Apple asks customers for Vision Pro feedback, all right? And if you watched me before in the news, I'm kind of cynical with this kind of stuff. Anyways, look in here. So they're kind of sending out letters to get feedback for the Vision Pro, maybe because it's not selling as well. I covered that last week. So they're asking questions down here like, what is your favorite feature or aspect of the Vision Pro? How often do you use your Apple Vision Pro? I mean, you can read all these questions. What types of video content are you most interested in on the Vision Pro? They're asking all these different questions, trying to get as much feedback as they can to try to get this thing to advance forward. But the questions that they should really be answering that I think that should be in here is, did you make your mortgage payment after buying the Vision Pro? Do you feel poor after buying the Vision Pro? Do you think you substantially affected your bank account after buying the Vision Pro? Because those are the reasons I wouldn't buy it. They're asking these normal questions. I know I'm actually being serious. $3,500 is a no-go. It needs to get down to like maybe $1,200, and then maybe people will start buying it. I think they just start working on that and stop with the questions, because I think that's the main reason it's not selling. Let's continue with the news. This one over here from Mac Rumors says iPhone 15 and 15 Plus proving less popular with buyers this year. So this is kind of interesting. So it says, let me just go down here. It says the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max accounted for 22% and 23% of all iPhones sold in 2024. So basically the Pro models combined of 45% overall. So that's kind of interesting because of the Pro models, the more expensive ones. It says the iPhone 15 Plus took 9% only, while the iPhone 15, the standard one, and the 14 were the third most popular, each taking 14%. I don't know why they didn't put it in order here, but these were both 14%. That was 9%, but the Pros are the 22 and 23%. And you can see down in this graph down here, you can see the Pros. Let me see here. The Pro Max here is this one over here. The Pro is over here. So you can see that basically the Pros, the more expensive models, are actually selling a lot better. I don't know. I mean, from the iPhones that I've seen and used them in the past and stuff, I mean, just the standard iPhone's good enough for me. I just don't know why people are going for those models. I guess maybe it comes with their, their plans and stuff, so they just take them because they have like a plan through AT&T or T-Mobile or something. You guys tell me in the comments, why do people go to those phones versus just a standard phone and save the money? All right, another thing I wanted to do is kind of go back and showcase some of the products I've had in the past. Over here, I have obviously an M2 MacBook Air. You can't really see it, but I'll show you a close-up shot of it. I actually have this on a stand, and this stand is right over here on Amazon. It's the same stand right here. It's $69 right now. Now, this stand you can see in here, it's called the Minisopuru iPad docking station. But listen, I'm using it for my Air right here, which is kind of crazy. So you can use it for your iPad and also a computer like this, like the MacBook Air. So this basically, let me get in here really quickly. See if I can get down to, actually down here, I think it's better. It shows you everything down here. So down here, if you can see in this picture, it has a USB-A over here. Then it's got USB-C here. And then one of them's charging up to 100 watts. One of them's basically data over here. It's got HDMI built into the back of it. And then 2 SD card reader slots. So if you don't have it on the Air over here, you can just plug it right into this kind of stand here. So not only do you get the stand, but you also get, obviously the ports and everything else, like the SD card reader and everything else. It's all just in here. Let me just see here from Minisopuru, $69.89. I'll have a link to this because I like this thing. For the money, it's actually a pretty good deal. And so I'm just trying to showcase some of the products that I actually use. All right, the next one is kind of interesting. It's actually good news. It says Passkeys support comes to Microsoft Word, Excel, and more for all customers on Microsoft accounts. So as you know, it says, let me just see in here, it says we're getting closer every day to a password-free future. I mean, hopefully that's the case, but hopefully they solve the security around it. So it says when Apple launched Passkey a couple years ago on iOS 16 and macOS 13, a lot of companies followed support, including Amazon and Nintendo, so they actually had to support earlier. But saying today, Microsoft announced that Passkey support will be rolling out to all of its customer accounts across Apple platforms, Windows, and Google products. So Microsoft's finally following this suit as well. So you can do Face ID or you can do biometric locks and stuff like that as far as getting into your accounts on Microsoft. All good news. We're moving forward. This next one is kind of one of those things that makes me feel so bad. And in fact, I'm going to have a sip of this. A lot of companies do this. It says FCC fines AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon almost $200 million for illegally sharing customer location data. So here you are. You get a phone from some of these companies, and you come in here, and let me just see here. It says the FCC first began investigating the 4 major U.S. carriers in 2019 after they were found selling real-time location information from customer devices to third-party aggregators, which led to the location data being sold. Listen to this. A second time to private investigators, bounty hunters, and law enforcement agencies, credit card companies, and even more. So not only are they stealing your data, but then they're selling it to other parties, including like bounty hunters and stuff. This is kind of crazy. So they get fined 200 million split between all of them. I'm not even sure that's enough. Obviously, people don't even know this is going on. That's why I wanted to get the news out there. Not really Apple related, but it is because you have to use one of these carriers most of the time, and they're stealing your data according to Mac Rumors and according to this article. I'm not saying it because I don't. I'm just reading the article. All right, this next one we've touched on a few times in the past. This is by 9to5 Mac, but I wanted to just go over one line that's really interesting here. So it says, here's how much Google paid Apple to be Safari's default search engine in 2022. So on Apple products and stuff, Safari, Google can be its default search engine, which is crazy. So Google, down in here, not that it's that important. I'm going to show you another line in a second, but it says, Google paid Apple $20 billion in 2022 to do this. So $20 billion Google's paying to Apple so that Apple can put Google as the default search engine on their Safari browser, which is totally insane. But look at this. This is the crazy part. So down here it says, a witness later revealed that Google pays Apple 36%, see it right here, of its online advertising revenue. So 36% of all of Google's online advertising revenue, they pay to Apple just to have the default on Safari. Would you have thought it was that much? I mean, obviously this is, again, could be a rumor, but it looks like this has been stated a whole bunch of different times. So I do believe it's true. Pretty crazy, right? All right, the next sale here is from Amazon. This says it's an Apple 2023. This is the M2 Pro chip here, obviously. So you got that 12-core CPU, 19-core GPU, but this is the 16.2-inch Liquid Retina. So it's 16.2-inch, the Pro model, M2, $1998 right now. It's 20% off. So you're saving about $500 if you want to pick this up. It's obviously got just 16 gigs and then 512 gigabyte SSD. So it's going to be the standard, obviously, the standard configuration or whatever you want to call it. But it's obviously that much money off, which is a great deal, almost $500 off. So even if it's an M2 versus an M3, I think it's good enough for most people. I would take a look at this deal. Pretty smooth, I'm telling you. Anyways, it's this next article from 9to5 Mac says, iOS 18 rumored, it's a rumor, to add deep integration between calendar and reminders. So kind of interesting if you use the calendar app and the reminder app. Down here it says tapping or right-clicking on an area within the day, week, or month views in the pre-release versions of this calendar app will reveal an option that prompts the user to either set a reminder or schedule an event. So that's kind of new there. Both can be scheduled from the same UI element, allowing for greater convenience. That's pretty cool. Then it goes on to say, when adding a reminder through the calendar app, users will be able to select a title and add a note or tag to the reminder as a way of describing it or making it easier to locate. So that's another added feature. So for all it's worth, calendar app, integration between that and the reminders coming soon, they think. It's a rumor, but I think it's coming. Okay, so we talk about this all the time on this kind of weekend, have a beer, do the news kind of things. Anyways, here's another one, but it's just interesting. It says, authorize AirTag tracking to become illegal in Pennsylvania. So I thought this might even have been, but it says, long story short, they passed, the House of State of Representatives voted 199 to 1. Who's that one person? Is he like following his wife around or something? I mean, the 199 to 1, who wants to be that one person that voted against it? Who knows? But basically, they're making it illegal to, track somebody, obviously, and I thought it already was, without their knowledge. So these things have been used I've talked about them a whole bunch of different times, including some really scary stuff, like people putting them on cars when you go to Canada, then putting drugs in your car, and then driving, when you drive back, they go back and get the drugs underneath the car, and crazy stuff like that. Here's actually something they're trying to combat it with, finally, making something illegal. So it's kind of interesting, but at the same time, people will still do it. I mean, the criminals will still be criminals, right? So it's not going to solve anything there. Okay, so this is actually an Apple story because Beats, I believe, is owned by Apple. 9to5 Mac, it says Beats Solo 4 hands-on, the most iconic Beats headphones just got better. So long story short, they're going to be selling, let me just see here, new version finally came out after many years. $199 here for the new, they call it the Beats Solo 4. If you go down here, what are the new features in here? Battery life has increased from 40 to 50 hours, big deal. Micro USB port has been released with the USB-C finally after all these years. New features enabled by the chip inside Find My integration, which is kind of cool. Personal spatial audio and dynamic head tracking. Beats isn't using Apple chips anymore. Instead, it's using a custom chip because it wants to be more compatible also with Android. Re-engineered for incredible high-fidelity acoustics. Upgraded beamforming microphone and intelligent noise learning algorithm. Oh no, here we go. For calls and Siri interaction. So it's going to be listening to you at all times. AI is coming into it. New ultra plush ear cushions. You get the idea. Anyways, $199. You tell me, guys, do you guys like Beats? Is it overrated? I think it is. I mean, I've tested them before. I don't know if they're the best headphones by far out there. I think there's better ones for the cost, but you tell me, do you like them or do you not? This next one was just interesting because take a look. It says iPad at war. How the iPad is crucial to the Ukraine war effort. And they actually have a picture here, and there's an iPad sitting on the actual instrument panel of a jet someone's flying. It's just interesting to me. I don't know if I kind of put it in. Here's another picture down here. But it was basically saying in here that they use it not only for navigation and stuff, but sometimes for weapon systems and stuff. So the iPads can be configured this way where they can actually help maybe launch weapons. I'm not sure. They're not 100% sure in this article. This is by Apple Insider. Long story short, though, that simple little iPad that they're using is being retrofitted on jets, and it's smart enough to actually do things to make the jet perform well. Long story short, it's just interesting to me. I mean, just that little teeny thing can do that much stuff when they're spending billions of dollars, and, kind of developing these things. Just, these things are coming a long way in a short time. But here we go. Apple to unveil AI-enabled Safari browser alongside new operating systems. So, long story short, it says expected to debut in Safari 18 later this year. They're going to be adding two different features. One's going to be called Intelligent Search, AI-enhanced browsing, and text summarization, which I'm not a huge fan of. It says down here, once enabled, it is believed that the tool leverages Apple's on-device AI technology, specifically the Ajax language learning model, to identify topics and phrases within a web page for which it'll base a summarization for you. Now, Apple already has like a summarization feature. I guess this is going to be a lot better. Anyways, that's not the exciting one, or that's not the weird one. The next one here is called Web Eraser. This is the second part of this that they're going to be doing. It says it's also accessible from the new page controls, whatever. It's going to be, let me see here. It says it's designed to allow users to remove, erase specific portions of a web page according to the people familiar with this feature. So if you look down here, you can actually highlight something on a web page, whether it be an ad, a title, a picture, and you can just remove it basically. And the next time you go to that page, it's going to remember it, and it won't show you that part of the web page. You can kind of just get rid of pieces of the web page you don't want to see any longer. I don't know how this is going to do for advertising and stuff like that. I have no idea what they're going to be doing here, let alone how you can keep track of everything. Once you start removing everything, I guess it notifies you that things have changed when you go back to the website, but still, if people are using this a lot, it seems like it's going to be a headache. I don't know. You tell me, is this something we need or we're asking for? Interesting, but useful? All right, like we always talk about, I think I talked about this before, but it says Apple has secretive advanced AI lab in Europe. I think it's in Zurich or somewhere in Switzerland. But even more concerning, so let's say you want to get away from Google or some of the big players. You think Apple's better. Maybe you're a Google fan, not an Apple fan. Whatever you are, you kind of go to one side or the other. But here it says, Apple's basically poached specialists from Google. So after reading this, it says that they've poached a bunch of Google AI specialists to work for Apple. So you can't really get away from any of these people. I mean, whether you like one company or the other, they're just kind of moving back and forth. And these are the same minds working behind everything with AI. So again, whether you like it or not, it's coming. But they're both kind of working in tandem here. They both poach each other's people, and those are the same people making the products for everything. So ultimately, everything's going to kind of turn out the same. All right, the next article says iPhone 18 will probably get TSMC's newly announced next-gen 1.6 chip process. So for all it's worth, we talked about 3 nanometer, then 2 nanometer. Now it's going to be 1.6 on this one, which is going to be the next generation iPhone 18. And then we're going to go down to 1.4 nanometer eventually. Things keep churning, just kind of a crazy article, but they're moving forward. This next one is kind of more of I want to ask you a question. So it says right here, Apple Watch is FDA's first ever approved digital AFib history device. So Apple Watch has like a AFib, for your heart. It monitors your heart and stuff. They had that feature since 2022 on some of their watches. But now they have like a thing that they've just got accepted by the FDA that allows you to keep a history of it, so like doctors can look at it and stuff. But that's all kind of cool and stuff. It's on the watch. I get people might use that, and I see some use obviously for it. But tell me, do you guys agree with me? So the thing that I don't like about this stuff is like if you have something constantly in your wrist and you're looking at it, right? And you're seeing stuff go up and down and all over the place and stuff, and you don't know what it means, or you just always have that on you. Doesn't it always make you a little bit nervous? I mean, can't you just live your life free without obviously we have the internet now, all the news. Do we really need something tied to us like that constantly is monitoring us? Because then you're getting nervous if something goes up for the day. Maybe you get excited about something and you're thinking, oh, my heart's going to go. Long story short, I mean, it's a good idea. I give it that. But do you really want something clamped onto you at all times like this and then being more worried about stuff in life than just living life? I don't know. That's the way I feel. You tell me in the comments what you think. It's a good idea, again, but I mean, is it going to make you more nervous than it's worth and maybe cause something that shouldn't have been caused? All right, we're moving on. We just got a few more. And again, happy Friday or Saturday or whenever you're watching this. It could be during the week as well. All right, so it says, new Beats Solo Buds offer budget-friendly audio in a tiny case. Again, Beats is owned by Apple. So this is called the Beats Solo Buds here. And I guess they're down here, so you can see they're going to be really small, but that's not the important thing. The important thing is the price. I think they're going to be here $79.99 here. I think they're going to only launch these in June. I think they're coming in June. Beat Solo Buds. So what does it say? Notify me. Yeah, so it's a little while, but they have a couple different colors here. But I guess these are going to be pretty good for the cost. Only around 80 bucks. And they're supposed to have really good sound, be very, very tiny. I'll show you a quick picture. See how small this is right here. Very, very small kind of case and everything involved in it. Made by Beats. This is kind of the new Beats, everything coming out with them. So check these out when they come out. We might do a review of them. Just wanted to mention it. All right, we got another sale here. This is the Apple 2024. This is the M3 chip. 13.6 inch, 8 gigs, 256, so it's the base model. But they do have a 9% sale right now on Amazon, so it's $9.99. I think that's around the cheapest I've seen the M3 version of this, right in that area. Usually $10.99. So is it the best deal? No. It's the M3 chip though, so if you're looking for that, you might as well pick one up now because I don't think these are coming out with the M4s for quite a while. All right, that was actually the last story, believe it or not. So anyways, if you like this, these are usually on Fridays or Saturdays. I usually have a beer. You can have a coffee and follow along. If you don't like beer, have a martini for all I care. Anyways, it's just kind of a fun thing on the weekends. Eventually, I'm going to do this, though, as a live show, have some guests. We'll make it a little bit funner. But I need to get the views up, so definitely subscribe if you can. Let me know if you like these kind of videos and stuff where I go over the news like this. And we'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.